everyone, this is me, this is Wolfram, and I will try to make a deck profile for Zorga. The reality is that this is my first deck profile, so I will be like improvising a bit, which should be fine, honestly. I just need to like info dump a lot about Zorga, so this should be get done easy. Okay, my idea here is not just share the list, but actually like try to explain how some cards, not just how the cards work, but how I think about them and how I use them, right? Rather than just put a list. I think like Zorga is just very open when it comes about deck building. So rather than just share a list, like there are a lot of lists, I think I will try to explain why I choose to play it like that and like just giving another way, right? There is a lot of ways of doing this. You can focus more on early game or more on farming. All of that is just fine. I will just try to explain why I think this list makes sense to me and why I play it like that, okay? So first of all, like we have the obvious things. We have the Zorga right line with a cute kitty here. And I think for starters, the only card that needs a bit of talking for me is like Rancor Chain, because I think that this card is more broken than it would seem on the first glance, because with it, like you can just draw two and discard one order. That's true, but I've seen people like they want Roroa, for example, to call the token. But what I think sometimes we miss about this card is that you are drawing two, but you do actually choose how you want to use those cards. If you draw, like, for example, the cow, the Great One, you can call the Great One to attack. Like, if you're farming cards and you are just suddenly allowed to commit the cards fast because you have more cards, like, Roroa, it would be just calling the token. It would never do anything else. But with this, like let's say you draw two and now you have 4 triggers in hand, you can just call one trigger here to boost, and it's the same. Like Roroa, Rancor can be played as any other right line. Like you can call a card here, like Kari's Boot, or you can call a trigger here to boost as Roroa Boot. But Roroa doesn't let you choose what you're doing. Rancor does. So I think it's really important to take this into account when we play the deck, because this card can be played in so many ways. One thing this deck has is like, I come from Magic the Gathering, and there you have this concept of what is an aggro deck, then a control deck, like a deck that will swing fast into your face to kill you fast before you can green, before you can play, before you can like generate any kind of lockdown with control. And you have the control decks, which are focused on nullifying you, avoiding you, disrupting you, making you slow. So in Magic, there is also the concept of mid-range decks, which are decks that can be built both in the core of the deck or the sideboard to navigate situations, choosing one or the other playstyle. Like you can choose to be aggro in a certain matchup, and then you put sideboard into a more controlled playstyle against other decks. Let me check if I'm recording. Perfect. I have some PTSD from previous videos not being recorded. Okay, so like Zorga, like it lays in that kind of playstyle for me. Like it works like that kind of mid-range deck, and you can choose like from the very beginning, you can choose to like commit cards fast and like play a bit more aggro and less defensive. But you can also like just say, okay, I will plus with Rancor, I will plus with Husk, and will plus with Zorga. I will keep plussing because in that particular matchup, that's what I want to be doing. So Zorga is both a mid-range deck in deck building, because you can like toy with a lot of orders and like go full late game, full farming cards, full defense, or with the abolishment for Sins order, or like you can go full aggro with the new order, the one that gives power to the 5Ks. Like Zorga can be built in many different ways, which I think they are all fine, as long as you like understand why you are playing those cards in the deck. They will work for you, so you should not just be copying. I think you should like explore and try things, and at the end of the day, this is a game, right? So you should like build Zorga in a way that makes you happy. That's my opinion. But if you like are looking for ideas or like on how to make it a bit more strong, then well, you have this like profile to check for ideas. Okay, so we said that, we explained the card, how this card can also be played like that as a mid-range deck, and let's move away. I will start by like trying to leave the cards there, but I will try to destroy the order I'm myself creating. Then we have the 4 Zorgas. Technically you can get away with just 3, but personally I like to choose consistency. I like the deck to do like not over 9,000 things, but like do 3 things, like have a way to commit to aggro, have a way to commit to farming, to grind, to aggro or to late game, let's say, and then I use the tools to sit in the middle when it's needed. But that's what I do. Like I play a lot of 4-ofs. The best cards I think, the cards I like the most, the cards I think they are the best for like winning. I play them at 4, and that's what there is. Okay, let's try to create some kind of fictional order I won't be respecting at some point. I will start moving all of that. Then we have the 4 big boys. I like calling them doggos because obviously Shadow, which seems a dog, it seems a rat to me, so I call this the doggo, the dog. This card, it's like, the deck has like, for me it has 2 parts. Like it has the aggro engine, the kill potential, which lays in this card and in kill severing, which are cards that you play because you need to push your opponent. This card is also a bit special because you can also use it to farm with Malice, but mostly this is your best beater, and it's the card that lets you have a fast start. If you don't see that card early, you know the game is like going to be like mid-late-ish, because unless you if you don't see this, if you don't sack your triggers early, this means the game it's going to be very, very long. So let's just max this, then let's try to get fast kills, because also this deck like deals the damage in pairs. Like you do 2 damage, well, you are menace with 2 damage with this, 2 damage with this, then it's Zorga. If this hits a crit, it's 2 damage, and if it hits crit, you can still give it to kill. So you are menacing with that. If you happen to have another card here, then they can suddenly take 1 damage they shouldn't be able to take, because they will be at 4 by then. So like your win condition really involves having 2 on board, and if you play against Messiah or Jet, they will keep bouncing them back or killing them. So you want to have more, because you want both to see them fast and you want to have extra copies just in case you're playing against that kind of deck. Then there is 2 of these. Here we need to be very honest. Like we need to understand what is the upgrades we got. For starters, we got a fun upgrade in the sense that we can mix orders like we want, but in reality, we're still doing the same, because we are having a front row that gains 10k with our Alchemagic because he says so. And we have these 2B, but the numbers, if you put the cow with the markers, it's 48. The only difference is that Miasma is 53 now, but the weakness of the deck is still the same. They need 2 PGs and they are saving the turn already, especially if you start slow. Okay, so this card, you need to see it. If you don't see it, you are doing the same, you are doing pre-mask era. Of course, we get to Personal Right going second, which is massive, to be honest. But if you don't see this card, your chances of winning are instantly diminished. Because they will just take, they will be PG, they will take the Vanguard, you will hit no crit, and they will go to 5 and they will survive, okay? So again, you don't have to do the same, but I think consistency is important. And besides, there isn't more room for that, because I am sad. We need other stuff, like we need a lot of orders and a lot of cards, so we cannot play a third. But we should be happy, because with Habitat, it becomes way easier to get this card, and this card, and this card, and PGs. So the deck is going to get heavily improved in BT 011. This is for BT, this is for Bro, honestly, so yeah. Then we have this. Okay, this card, it's very important, because actually no, it's right now in the meta, the deck wins because you beat with those guys, but you keep farming PGs and Zorgas. Like both Gandiva and Willista, are pairings that are beaten through farm, through green. Like, this deck has a very good pairing into Gandiva. If you can start fast, then you are very likely to win, because this will nullify Gandiva's skill by giving you a PG every time, so you can PG, 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 and then the amount of 4 or 5 attacks they have, for starters, they will be not enough, because they have only 4 copies, but if you manage to like stay low, they will use them, and they will still not beat you, because you are defending well. Like, this deck, like, it's not the best at defending, because the best at defending would be Willista, in fact, because that deck it's kinda a bit broken. But what you wanna be doing in this meta versus Willista and Gandiva, it's like, you sit this behind the Vanguard and try to bounce cards, or try to use 2 to get PGs and Zorga every turn. So you need to see them for that, and versus Gandiva especially, it will die every turn. Every turn it will get killed. So you need to call. Then you have once per game, you can bounce it to board with Zorga by binding it with the Masques unit. But ideally you want to keep drawing into them and keep calling, then they get retired. So you want to have more. There is the reasons for that. Like, you want to put your orders on the drop zone. So if you run more, you have more copies. And if you call one, this card becomes a copy of the card you are milling, but you are losing a copy of the other one-off. So if you just run 2, you will be able to choose the first time and the second time. But then we are left with just one-offs in the deck, because you cannot keep searching the copies. So you want to run 4 for both reasons: for consistency on the game plan, like having the orders on the right places, but also because in this meta, the matchups want you to keep calling this and grinding with it. If you don't grind with that, you're going to lose. Versus Gandiva, because it will get killed, and versus Willista for other reasons, but I think I will get into that later. We'll cover the pairings later. Yeah. Okay, so then I'm boring, I know, 4 of everything, but this card is so good. Okay, so let's consider what this card is doing. For starters, like, I think you should always run at least like 4 Dragon Tree Reg cards, either these or Iwaleth, the one you want, that doesn't really matter. But this card, it's very good. Like, you can have access to +1 per turn by paying the cost, which is kinda low, right? If you're versus Willista, you will use Malice every turn with that, and there is 2 things here. Again, you want to see the card. If you start taking copies away, you will lose, because you won't have it. Versus Gandiva, you need to actively call 1 every turn to get that order to hand. It replaces itself with the card you are getting, and then your Archemagic goes +2, because usually you had to discard an order to activate the other, but with this, it's like you are mixing 2 cards here, right? So you are not discarding, you're paying the cost instead. And also, like, you need the markers. Okay, so I said before that this deck has 2 kind of engines mixed. Like, there is the aggro engine, you have the farming engine, and then you have those who sit in between, because you need the boosters to swinging off for lethal. Like, there is a point of the game that you need the 3 boosters to kill, otherwise they start saving cards, but on the same time this card is valuable for grinding. Another difference between this and Iwaleth, and why I choose to run this instead, it's like, Iwaleth, it's very fast and it's very aggressive. Like, you pay a low amount of resources to get an order to hand and both the marker, right? This card, it's technically expensive when it's compared to the other one, but the fact that you get into late game and Iwaleth doesn't contribute to the grinding game plan, it's just a sucky 1-off or 2-off if you run it, makes me deviate into just like, I understand the meta, I understand that versus Gandiva I need to keep calling those, so might as well max them. And versus Willista, what I want to be doing, it's like, versus Willista, well, yeah, I said I wouldn't talk about the pairings yet, but this is me, I kinda need to develop. So, wait, checking. Yeah, this is perfect. Okay, yeah, so versus Willista, you want to have one of these, then eventually you want to have the second, because otherwise then they won't ever run out of cards. And you want to use Malice every turn, okay? We are running a lot of like reviving orders, because what we want to be doing, on those pairings, it's farming cards back to hand. We need to get from the deck or the drop zone, like with Mask, Habitat, we don't have it, but we will, and Freeze. And particularly against Willista, like you want to be using Malice every turn and bounce cards the same every turn. This card, I think it's really involved on your wins because it makes your numbers big enough, and on the same time, it's the best farming engine. Also, like, for example, you see you have cards in hand, and you see like, okay, I have order for turn 3, turn 4, and turn 5, I have that. But I have a PG, and I don't want my PG to discard me a shield. I can use this to get an order from hand and just discard it. That card, it's very good, very, very good. Okay, the order is dying. Organization, please. Okay. Okay, then we have 4 PGs. About this, like, I'm still running this because I don't think it makes much of a difference now. I think Messiah or Jet are still played enough to, let's say, go for this. But next set we will be getting a Habitat, the card that scares top 7. And I think I will just put the 4 because I don't want to risk on not having the PG because this is not a unit, or I don't. Also, already I'm seeing myself like I cannot cycle the PGs because this is a blitz. Like if in your shop Flagburg, Loro, Messiah, Jet are relevant, you should play that. But in this meta, like it should be more about Gandivas, Willistas than it is about everything else, and there you are just losing here because you cannot bounce this. So I think with this we have to be smart. Like if in our shops there is a lot of cards or decks where this matters, against whose this matters, you should run it, and if you see you don't, you just put another unit, and that's very fine. Okay, let's move into the orders. Okay, so we said that with Zorga, like in our deck building, we can choose from being from aggro to mid-range to control. I think in this meta, the greening capabilities, the chances of keep seeing cards on our decks constantly and be able to repeat, it's important. So I have chosen to like go full for that because I think it's too important, right? So we go with 2 masks. Technically you can get away with running 1, but I will try to explain why this is risky. It has to do with this. Like, it's true you have, let's say you have 4 of these and you have 2. It's like you have 6 masks in your deck, right? But if you have to fetch this with that, this means automatically for the next order, you are not running 6. You are not running, let's put the 1 off, which is okay. You are not running 5 anymore. You are just running 4. And if you have to call this to mill that to play, oh, suddenly you have only 3 copies of that. So if the card is good and you have to use it, you should like try to understand the ratios of your orders. Like usually what I try to do, it's like I have 1 order, like I can see fast and easy. Those 4 like fulfill similar purposes, like this gets me PGs, this gets me Zorga, this can also get me Zorga, no? But I have like more of one thing, so these cards can be more focused on getting me the other cards, right? If I run 1, 1, 1, then I cannot have everything, and that is better on metas where the objective of the deck has to split more widely because you want it to be able to do more things. But if what it's good in this meta, it's like farming the cards, then I think it's like easier to go like that and like 3 consistency cards that will get you the pieces, and 4, it's 4, they are different but also similar, and then the one-offs, right? This way I can make sure I can have my cards where I want them. Okay, as for this, like, let's do one thing. Let's try to develop in order and try to explain how important the cards are. Like, for starters, I think you want 2, because if you draw 1, then this can get you that. Let's say you don't draw this and draw a Saki one-off, and you don't have Zorga and you want both, but you just draw 1. Suddenly you cannot play, because you cannot find both. But instead, if you do this, you are running 3 of the cards, 3 and 4. And you just need to see 1 in order for that to get you the other card you did, right? So I think 2 is a very good ratio. Also this card, it's very good. I think it's pretty underrated here, because sometimes like you wanna do like that, and with this you fetch for Zorga, And with this, you use Shadow to get either PG or Zorga, depending on what this got you, right? So, also this, if you don't have that, you need this to play, you need this to see. You need to see this. If you don't see that, you cannot use that, or you cannot start grinding. So I think this card, it's very good, especially turn 3, because like the pieces are still in your deck and this will hit them. Also, this card is 0 CB, 0 Soul Blast. This card cannot be denied. You can use this early and still you will be able to use this into that and get your cards into place, okay? Then there is the Miasma. This card is your win condition, like this card is involved in your kills turn because the amount of power it creates make them for them so hard. Usually they will be at 4 because they will heal. Like this is my daily life, right? Try to push them to 5 so they don't get back to 3, and try to go to 5 so they don't heal the 5 damage to 4 again and they survive. And then you use this to kill. Usually you will use this either 1 or twice per game. You need to take this into account because this is expensive and sometimes you won't have the stamina, right? With Malice in Willista pairings, you will. It will change a bit because you will like use this for free every turn, and then you have 1 CB with this, and this is another CB. But let's say then you do another turn in the middle and you use this with that. You will be able to use this once more or get another marker. So there is some exceptions, but basically you use this when you want to kill because you get 53 numbers which cannot be guarded with the heal plus a trigger. They need to go with a third card, etc. Okay, and then 1 of Malice. You see, I'm becoming more chaotic as I keep advancing because I move the cards weirdly. Okay, then there is this. This card is very bad on Gandiva, but it's very dope in any game you need to green because you have this. With this becomes free and you can like this for free plus 1 and use that, bounce PG or bounce Zorga. This card is very good. However, we need to take some things into consideration with this card and this one because you can like, before this card was mandatory to reset the dragons, but now it's no longer like that. You can use this to like, you have 2 dragons, you have a marker here, you kill this one and step over, so you no longer need for this card to like empty your board. But if you're in a grinding matchup, you will use this for sure. You need this to beat Willista. With Willista, it will be like, you will start losing because you need to understand you are the slower deck. Willista, look, Willista has everything, right? Has the aggro, has the mid game, has the late game, starts throwing, gets PGs, sees for everything because look at top 5. Okay, but Willista has only one weakness we can exploit with Zorga, which is the fact that they don't get any kind of resource. They just spend resources, a lot of CB. Sure, they get back the soul, but that is not as relevant as the fact that they can only do 5 attacks unless they heal. So on the long run, if like you can play a bit more control, you will outrun them and they won't be able to put as much pressure because they need CB2. Like usually the games go like, they go 1 attack turn 3 and 4 attacks turn 3, and then turn 4 they like to try to do the 2 attacks, but if they do that, then you choke them and just give them 1 CB, and with this you keep farming, and then you can like with the PGs outlast them. If they are very smart, they will like be very efficient when they go with the 5th attack to avoid this, but that's fine. If they are just doing 4 attacks, that's good for you. Also, I think they are more likely to try and kill you before you can start doing that. Like most of the games will be closed by turn 4 and you will either lose or get it to a point where you are the control deck now and you can outclean them. But you need that card for that. And then there is those 3. Wait, I'm missing 1 card. Oh, it's this. Well, this card is broken. It's like, it fixes everything. You can do mask with this to get Zorga and another Zorga, and this gets you dragons. If you haven't seen or need this by late game, you can use this as a way to get Zorga from drop for free. And you can use this, like you have 1 shadow on board and you call another shadow, you can use those 2 and you get a double bounce. You get a 1 PG with this, and with it you get a Zorga, and it's just 3 soul, which you should have to get both cards into hand. Alright, this is very dope. And then for the last part, I choose to run the 3 of these over like Gather Upon Me. Like the world has inverted or something, it's the reverse, because I use it to like a lot Gather Upon Me, your Wandering Souls, because with this deck it will come a lot of times where they are at 4 and it's a crit for kill, so you want to go boom and try to check another card for it to see the crit, but this is not important anymore. The deck has evolved in a way like you cannot afford that. You really need to use this with another thing every turn and get a PG every turn or get a Zorga every turn and keep your beatdown online with the Zorgas and use the PGs to defend. Like the bad cards in your hand, the orders, you can PG them, so you need to farm this extra defense. So instead of like doing Gather Upon Me here, which I think you can do, it's not a problem, but I choose like maximize consistency, see one of these by turn 2, start finding 4 pieces, because this deck relies a lot of seeing the pieces, which is a lot of pieces. You need one of these, 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 and one of everything, which is a lot of cards, it's a lot of cards, and that's hard sometimes, you know, and so, right, so this is what I went for. Alright, so, for the triggers, let's not waste much time because it's always the same. For an 8, you want 8 crits in this deck. Every game will be about you hitting, and they will no guard this, they will no guard this. And if it's crit, you win, if it's not, you lose. Okay, so you want 8. And then for heals, like, I'm not a fan of the 10k ones, 25 ones, because, like, they are only useful versus Zorga, versus Messiah. They are swinging you for like, oh well, yeah, they don't work versus Messiah, they don't work versus Jet. And honestly, I'm just PGing Gandiva every time. I'm not going to do to pass. I don't want to risk that. I don't want. If they get 2 triggers, I lose. If they run fronts and get 2 triggers, I will get killed. I will just PG Gandiva every time and then get it back. So I think this deck really doesn't want to go high roll on triggers. Like for me, this is about like, do you believe what your deck is doing? Because for me, I think this deck is defensive enough. Like, I just care about being able to call. Also, there is that. This is a 5k. If I run the 4k, I can use this to boost rank or chain on early game. If I want to be aggro, the 25k doesn't let me because they don't boost for enough. And I don't know. This deck is pretty good on defense. I don't feel like high rolling that. Then there is the OT. We'll be very honest about the OT. I haven't tried the others. For me, this is very sucky one-off. And I don't care about it. I will be honest, I don't care about OT. Just run wherever you like. And then this is what I think it's more interesting to debate, perhaps, which is the draws. There is ups and downs for draws or fronts. People like they want to have the 20k shield, which I think that actually matters versus the 10k, but not versus the 15k. So I can understand why people would run fronts. Also, like they can break through to 2 passes. They can like on certain situations you will get a lot of power, and this can make you win. But I prefer draws. I prefer draws because I like to use this card. Like, I rarely see myself swinging with Banger first, which means basically Zorga, it's like, the fronts, it's like just for 2 sides, but they are already taking the Zorga, so I'm just giving the power here, and then it's just like, I prefer to draw a card most of the time. Then in late game, if we see how the guard patterns are, even with the front, it still comes to me hitting a crit or not. The front barely matters later on either. And I think they are detrimental because they are trying to make you swing in a way that it's risky. What if I swing with Banger before Dragon, they get a heal, they get a front, they get a trigger, and then I don't hit the front and they can easily guard the other attacks. So I just prefer to go lethal, lethal, then potentially lethal, and then I can decide with kill where I'm going. Or if it hits a crit, what happens? Like, I think, like, from how you navigate the attacks, draws are usually better because they give you extra cards in hand, and let's not forget, we are a heavy piece reliant deck. We want to see the cards, and you might argue, this is enough to see the pieces. Yeah, this might be enough to see the pieces, but statistically speaking, if you run fronts instead of draws, there is one game where you don't hit anything and you hit the front instead of the draw and you don't see the piece. Of course, you can still not see the piece, but this still is adding to the consistency part of the deck. There is one downside to that, which is that if you hit the 3, which is heavily likely, you might lose to deck out. Like if you hit the 4 draws here, you will lose. But I think that's not what usually happens. And overall, I feel happy about this. I think it has to be said, like if you go fronts, like you will more or less win the same. It's just about how you play them. But I don't know. Personally for me is that I just like to be in control on how I swing. Like let's say I'm on early game and I have this and I have that and I want to swing. Like if I swing with this first to hit the front, because this is a high roll versus low roll situation, right? You will swing, you can either get a trigger or not, and the opponents will either get a trigger or not. If I swing with banger first and I get the front, sure, I'm high rolling in the sense that they need now a 15k here to stop it. But like, let's say we're talking about Gandiva. They are already investing a trigger on guarding most of the time because they need the pieces, right? So if I attack with banger first and I give the 10k here, I would still be drawing a card, right? And they will still put the 15k or the draw. Yeah, maybe that's the only difference. Like they cannot use draw if this is stronger, but we're talking about the other not hitting the trigger, so it would be the same. And let's say they hit it, and I don't see the front. This does not longer swing. Instead, I can just swing with rear first, force a card out of them. If they take, they are still taking the risk of getting hit by that, right? Which means that if I do this is 1 damage or 1 card. It should be 1 card at some point, but let's say they take the risk, then it's the same, right? Because we are in a situation where they hit the trigger and we don't, which would be the same as doing it like that and like that, right? But if we hit with this first and with this first and they took this damage, they still need to guard this. So they are losing the card from hand either way, because if they not, okay, they are taking the risk of going to 2 or getting to 3 with a crit, right? So if I'm on early game, I don't want the fronts. They are annoying me. And you would say, right, but you have the 20k in hand. Yes, you have the 20k in hand, and yes, the draws might interrupt how you guard. But they are also seeing cards for you. They are also like generating cards for you to be able to commit more cards faster. I don't know. I prefer the front. The draws. No, we don't want fronts here. All right. I was thinking, but I need some time to do this because I was trying to like getting used to ops, the program to record from screen. I was planning on like record replays and then like record my voice over them to like explain the plays. But this is taking me a bit of time because I don't know how to do this yet. But I'm working on it. And like this way I could like discuss the matchups, but on real time with a real gameplay experience where you can see what is happening, what is going on, and all of that. But this will take me a bit of time. And then I think we should like, I think I will save that for another video. Let me know if you're interested in this like these guides for like me CFA replays with my comments on them. And I will try to develop the guides like with the gameplay, because I think it's more useful than just me here speaking and with a chaotic image on the background. Yeah, I think I will do that. Let me know if you people would like that, and I will go for that. So this is my Zorga deck profile. I hope my English was okay, and I hope like you could see interesting things out of this. I tried to avoid redundancy and like focus on more interesting info, like the concept of the deck, or why I think draws are better, etc. So yeah, let me know if you like that. If you liked it, you can always give a like and subscribe to me. And that's it. See you here. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Hi there, it's me again. I just watched the video again to make sure everything was okay, and I realized I missed on some cool interactions, so I thought I would just record some more and talk to you about them. There is two reasons for Alana to stick in the deck pre-BT011 over a 5k trigger, because I said that, right? You want 5k triggers in case you just want to boost. Yeah, but Alana has two things that make her very good in a deck where you have freeze. So the first thing, it's like Alana, if you go first, boost twice. Boost twice in the sense it boosts here and then adds power to the rearguard to create a magic number. This means, for example, in situations such as this, okay, you are swinging for 14 into an 8k, which is magic number. They cannot just, if they want to pass with a trigger, they are taking a risk of getting triggered and getting the damage. And this, even if they take the damage here, this goes to soul and you give 2k here, so this is 20. So even if they get a defensive, you can still swing. Let's say you don't have a rear guard, right? You would lose an attack. So Alana would help you with this. And the same is true for the next turn, where you are like this. Let's assume we have a marker here, and you swing with your Zorga Mask, let's say with Umbrick. Okay, so you swing, then you have Alana, and let's say they hit a defensive. This goes to soul, this becomes 40, and they cannot just guard this with a 20k. Fronts are not enough, because you're a 40 versus a 20k. So in those two instances, Alana makes a difference versus any other 5k. The other reason to play Alana, it's like if you have freeze in the deck, this will change once we have our habitat, because it's basically free. Best tutor ever. Well, we gotta be honest, it's the best tutor ever, but also Stoikeia, it's like the only deck that relies so heavily on pieces, so it is kinda fair, let's say. Okay, so you go, use this, turn 1, Soul Blast your Rancor Chain out of the Soul, and then, like, let's say you have Mask, and you have Shadow, and you don't have any other way of playing. So, this means, like, you want to use this to play, use Soul Blast, so you don't have more Soul, and on the same time, like, if you realize you don't have an order to play in hand, but you have that one, okay? So, this means, like, this turn, you use this, maybe you get a dragon or something, okay? Because you are going to play aggressive, and instead of generating a card, you can create Alana here, and then this goes to soul, okay? Next turn, what will happen is you will ride into Zorga, you will have 2 souls here, and in order to play, because let's say we don't have an order in hand anymore, you will have to mask first, then this puts Zorga here, right? And you have 4 souls, so you can use this, Soul Blast 1, you get the mask or this, it doesn't matter for this, and you can like use this with that, use Soul Blast 1, and you can fetch into the, you can do whatever, and then you can call the card and Soul Blast 1, right? Let's say you don't have Zorga because you are super bricky and something goes wrong. If you use Alana in preparation for that, like if you don't have the Zorga, if you are having a bad game, you can like take this extra soul into account, because now you can like bounce whatever, bounce a PG, you go into 0 soul for the next turn, and you cannot play. You cannot play. Okay? Let's say like you top deck an order, but it's like another Soul Blast 1, so you cannot play that. If you don't put Alana in, you cannot play that, right? So this is like more of a preparatory play, because you see like you have a bad hand that you will need to use this to stay in the game. Like you will need to bounce a PG versus Gandiva, you know, you need to bounce cards to stay alive. So you can choose not to plus in the way of a booster here, like you don't call Rancor Chain and create that. You minus yourself a bit on board, but that's not quite the thing, because you have also that here to attack more, and you can put this into soul, and you see that you will be able to play 2 turns later, right? So this cannot be done with just a 5k. And this soul will matter, will matter, because let's say like, even if you played smart and like you bound this, let's say you top deck another, like to do this, you need to soul blast 1. If you don't, you might lose on turn 4. It depends. Of course, this is like more of a circumstantial situation, but there's that as well. And sometimes you need to like forfeit the booster here, forfeit the Rancor Chain Call to get Alana, because you see you will need the soul. And also like, you are not really losing on pressure, right? Because this is boosting here for magic number and here for magic number. Another thing you can do, it's like, this is not something you do as much now. This was more like an old Zorga thing, the red one. It was like you call Alana turn 2, boost with it, but don't put it in because you're versus Willista or whatever, and use the effect turn 3 instead of turn 2, because you are more interested into countering up front they got or something, right? So let's like re-explain. We have the boosting power of the card when you are going first, and then you can use this as a pseudo-aggression card with the other ones, but doing so in a way you will get your soul back in order to play later, which is the thing the normal trigger wouldn't do. And I hope this was properly explained, because I think I like moved a lot the cards around. I will check and maybe like add some letters for it to be easier. Anyway, see you soon. I hope you liked it. If you liked it, again, you can like and subscribe. You can also like do like, subscribe, and like and subscribe, and then like and subscribe again if you liked it a lot. Well, see you.